hit. Blah, 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 blah. What's up, guys? This is Dylan.
I'm Lydia.
And you're watching The Broken Dead right now. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out our website at www.broken.pictures and keep up with what we're doing and what's going on with us. And let's jump right in. There's a lot to talk about. All right, the Walking Dead fan base is set on fire right now. There's a lot going on. I mean, there are people calling for Gimple's resignation, saying fire Gimple. I mean, there's the comic book fan base that isn't okay with killing off Carl, and then there's the show fan base that's like, I'm kind of okay with it. We'll see where it goes. And then there's people that don't care, and then there's people that are, burning down houses. There's not literally, but I mean, it's going nuts right now. So, so Carl has been bitten. That's a huge deal because in the comics, spoilers, he's still alive. And up until this point, the show was kind of going towards that too, where he was the next in line. And so kind of like, I wrote some things down about why this doesn't really make sense to me. Like I said just a second ago, where, I mean, okay, well, let me go through my list. So number one, Chandler Riggs, who plays Carl, was planning to stay, and according to his dad, Gimple, the showrunner, had told Chandler and his family that they wanted him for 3 more years, that they were planning on using him.
So much so that Chandler Riggs bought a house in Georgia. Yeah,
in Atlanta, and he was ready to do it. He was going to college in Georgia, and he was ready to do both. And it just it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's almost like something's suddenly happened. And so then a couple things. Gimple using Carl as a moral compass to keep Rick from killing all the saviors. In a Hollywood Reporter article that came out right after the episode aired, Gimple and Carl, or Chandler Riggs, had said that the reason that he was trying to justify what was going to happen with Negan, and Rick really wanting to kill Negan, and then in the comics not killing Negan.
Which to me, like, why would you use such a staple character for that and not kill somebody like Daryl? Yeah, and we had hit. We had even talked about that in a past video where with the flash forward where Rick has got the red face and he's crying, that him and Daryl had gotten into it, and he had gone too far and seriously injured or run Daryl off or killed him, and that was going to bring his character back to, I can't go this far again, and we've got to have some kind of rule of order, and I can't just go around killing people, and because this happens, we've got no rule of law, and to use Carl for that just didn't make a whole lot of sense, especially when last season and at the beginning of the season, Carl was getting in the truck to go kill Negan himself, and then at the season finale last season, when the trash people kind of turned on him and they didn't know what to do, Carl was the first one to shoot. So, I mean, now all of a sudden he's the moral compass, and he's changed his ways, and that doesn't make sense in and of itself, because the only way you can get somebody to change their mind like Rick is to kill somebody. But then again, they're going to use Carl to do that, but they changed Carl without doing that. Well, to me, it's just like, we've kind of seen Carl be the moral compass with Sadiq and a few other characters, and Enid, and
So I don't necessarily think that he couldn't be the moral compass of just like he hasn't been. Like Gabriel's been the moral compass and
Yeah.
he's had other moral compasses in his life. What bothers me the most is that if you kill a character like Carl, it does the opposite effect
Yeah.
on someone like Rick. And instead of calming him down, it is going to throw everything into chaos. And Rick's going to do something stupid and go try and kill Negan. Like,
Yeah.
to me, that doesn't make him choose to keep him alive. Like,
Yeah.
that would make him kill him because he
exactly.
sees it as Negan's fault.
Yeah, even on the Talking Dead preview where we see Rick talking to Negan on the radio, and Rick is very upset, and he said, "What's next?" And Rick is like, "You're next," and he's very upset. And so, I mean, that seems like that would be the way that Rick would go, especially after Lori died. He was hallucinating and hearing phone calls. And I mean, he just was not in a good that didn't put him in a good mental place. And that seems like it's not going to help them win the war. And maybe it's just for dramatic effect, but it's kind of cheap. It's kind of sorry to knock off a character like him to do that. And Michonne as well. I mean, Carl was one of the reasons that Michonne came out of her funk. You know, because she had lost her child and her husband, and losing Carl, I don't know what that's going to do to her. It's going to mess her up something serious. Let's see. Yeah, so the main thrust of the show, what is the show even about? It's about Rick waking up from a coma, finding his family, and protecting his family. So now what is the show about? Now that Carl has been bitten.
He's got a new family.
He's got a new family. I venture to say that the show, if Carl dies and they don't turn it around in some really meaningful way, that the show has jumped the shark. Like that, it has gone too far. That phrase comes from Happy Days, where the Fonzie, when they were trying to do gimmicks for ratings, they had the Fonz jump over a pool of sharks, and so that was when the show had jumped the shark, because they had become something else. It wasn't about what the fan base had been there for, and it became some gimmicky thing. And The Walking Dead has been approaching that more and more over the past couple seasons, with like finding out who Negan killed over the break, and everybody was really upset about that. And The Walking Dead has been declining in ratings for a while. And
I mean, even having Lenny James, such a huge character, switch over to Fear the Walking Dead, I feel like that they're playing out what they feel like is the rest of this plot, and they're gonna just kind of drain it off and start with Fear.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense, because the comic book has so much more material to explore, and material that people are really wanting to see, like the Whisperer War and what comes after that. And it's just, I mean, the comic is still going. There's just so much more material to mine for the TV show to just give up on it and go somewhere else. I mean, if you're tired of being the showrunner, go do something else. The same thing happened with True Blood, where I want to say that it was the last two seasons, they had to get a new showrunner and try to turn things around, because the previous showrunner had done everything he could and ran it into the ground and ended up killing one of the main characters. And it was just like, what is going on? And he pieced out once he had killed off the main character, and was like, all right, he's dead, I'm done, deuces. And so HBO was just like, oh crap, this is our big moneymaker. What are we going to do now? He's killed him off. So they try to spin it in some way, some story that tries to make it make sense, and it never recovered. And they ended up just having to do the last season to wrap things up. And it was sad to see that show go out like that. And I would hate to see the same fate for The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything that serious. I just think that at this point in time, they film in Atlanta where it's super hot.
Mm-hmm.
You've got people who are wearing pounds and pounds of makeup and props. It's an expensive show to do, I'm sure. And when your ratings start to drop, shows don't necessarily and networks don't necessarily continually pour into it, especially when you lose big cast members like Chandler Riggs and Lenny James. To me, I just don't think that it has the following to sustain itself, and I think that instead of letting it flounder around for way entirely too long, that they're going to bring it to its end and they're going to phase it out, because it's phasing itself out. And to me, that is a better option than just instead of watching it turn into a walker, they're going to kill it when the bite happens.
Yeah, and that makes sense. But right now they've got so many. I mean, they've got The Talking Dead, they've got Fear the Walking Dead, they've got the video game stuff, and they've got so much going on where they're almost spread too thin. And I mean, even the showrunner Scott Gimple has jumped over to start running Fear the Walking Dead too. So I don't know if he's jumping ship or there's a transition happening or.
Well, I mean, when you think about like all of these people, all of the actors, Andrew Lincoln leaves his family every year to come to America to film this.
Yeah.
He was expecting Carl to be able to let him phase out. So like when you talk about the age of these characters and how much time and effort goes into it, to me it's kind of phasing out.
Yeah, and it's sad to see it go like that. And I mean, they had originally signed on for 8 seasons. And Norman Reedus and Andrew Lincoln had just re-upped for this season and re-signed their contracts. So they were ready to do more. And apparently Chandler Riggs had too. That's why he bought a house, and apparently there was a 3-year contract going on, and he wasn't expecting the call at all, from what he said in the Hollywood Reporter interview, that it took him by surprise. And when he got called in and Andrew Lincoln wasn't expecting it, pretty much it was Scott Gimple's idea to kill off Carl because he thought it would push the story forward in some meaningful way. I don't see how. I mean, he's obviously seeing around the corner where I don't see, but I mean, I just can't figure out how they're going to pull this out of their ass and make it be something. So, in light of that, let's talk about reasons why Carl will die. Because there's a little bit of theorizing going on about that Carl might not die and that Carl will die. So let's go into cold hard facts. Gimple, Chandler Riggs have both confirmed that dead is dead is dead. It's a done deal.
So is Andrew Lincoln.
Yeah.
I mean, like multiple people
multiple
on
sources.
the show have confirmed that he's done.
Yeah. And I think he said on The Talking Dead, Gimple said that it'll play out as bites do, and somebody was like, well, just cut the shank off. And
Yvette Nicole Brown.
yeah, Yvette Nicole Brown was like, just cut the shank off. But, he's like, no, not going to happen. It's a done deal. And apparently, they could say like the walking, like Game of Thrones, they could say that a character's dead and go on break, and the character not really be dead. So, but there's some stuff going on behind the scenes that speaks against that it's actually happening, that it's a real deal.
Like Chandler Riggs' dad almost sued Scott M. Gimple because they went almost so much to say it was a verbal contract for 3 years, and he fired Chandler Riggs.
Yeah, he has a business where he does tours for The Walking Dead and shows people around the area and stuff like that. And he's got a Facebook page, and so somebody posted. I've got a screenshot. It says, "So how do you feel, Dad?" And he said, "Watching Gimple fire my son 2 weeks before his 18th birthday after telling him they wanted him for the next 3 years was disappointing. I never trusted Gimple or AMC, but Chandler did. I know how much it hurt him, but we absolutely know how lucky we have been to be a part of all of it and appreciate all the love of the fans for all these years." So I mean, it seems. And then later on, he deleted that comment. So it's looking like it's a done deal. And so then Chandler Riggs has also said that originally he was planning on going to college there and doing the show, but now he's going to take a year off to focus on acting, and he's got a couple movies coming out, and went and got his hair cut, and then after a year or however it goes, then he's going to go to college.
It's a gap year.
Yeah.
He's taking a gap year.
Yeah. So, I mean, all evidence points to it's a done deal. Get used to it. Chandler Riggs is off the show. Carl is dying. He's dead. He's going to die. They said he's still got a little story left, so, I mean, we'll have to watch when they come back.
We'll see him in the mid-season premiere, but that's all that anyone has said that he'll be in.
Yeah, there might be flashbacks or whatever. I don't know. We'll just have to see. But this is his last season for sure. So let's get into a little bit of theorizing about why this could possibly just be a fake out. Could be another gimmick. History of gimmicks in the past with the introduction of Negan. And spoiler alert, if you haven't watched Game of Thrones, you might want to cut out now. But Jon Snow was dead, and what the showrunners, everybody said, dead is dead is dead. Like, Jon Snow is dead, and he was, but he was resurrected. So it was like it was a play on words, and it was a loophole.
But at the same time, like, I don't necessarily see that happening, as Game of Thrones is set in a magical realm where The Walking Dead is set in.
Yeah, but Gimple is a fan of Game of Thrones, and if he saw a way to possibly make that work in this universe, he might try it. Because the way I'm seeing, like, I've trusted Gimple and I've liked what he's done up until recently. He just seems like he doesn't know how to handle the new material. He doesn't know how to handle Negan, how to write for Negan, and he's going out on a limb here, killing Carl, and I don't know what he's thinking. We'll just have to see. Another thing, fans are saying that he's possibly immune. That we've talked about before about how the virus could be mutating and changing, and really, I mean, they don't have sophisticated medicine, so possibly one of the ways they beat the virus, if they are ending the show, is to show that somebody is immune and they figure out how to make a vaccine from there.
To me, that seems like a fix-all. I don't think that they would do that, because if they ever wanted to revisit it, then they would have to open a new can of worms, and to me, that just seems like a waste.
Exactly. I agree with that. Another thing is that Dr. Carson, I keep calling him Carlson, is on the way. From what it showed, Carl was bit over his shirt. And the way people die in this universe is not from the zombie bite itself, it's from the bacteria, like plague and all that nasty sepsis, all the infections that live in dead bodies, you know.
I get that, but like, plague is not a disease.
The Black Plague is a disease.
Okay, but it's nicknamed the Black Plague.
Okay,
like
whatever.
A plague,
Black Death, whatever.
A plague is a plague because it wipes out masses.
You're right, but you get what I'm saying. So all the nastiness that lives inside of a dead body, and then they get bit, it gets inserted into their body, and because they don't have sophisticated medicine, the infection sets in, and it goes from there. And they said in season 1, the doctor, when they visited the CDC, that it kind of sets in like meningitis from there and attacks the brain, and then reanimates. So they're already infected, so a bite wouldn't just like activate the infection or whatever. It doesn't work that way. Robert Kirkman, the creator, has said that it's from the infection.
To me, what makes the most sense is that this is not what they've said. This is just me thinking what they should have done. Is I have a certain blood type. My body is a sealed thing, whatever. Anyway, the walkers have other people's blood on their face, in their teeth. Getting other types of blood in your bloodstream and other people's blood in your bloodstream is what is toxic to you. To me, like, oh, it's as simple as other blood got in your bloodstream.
Right. Yeah, that's probably a little bit more sciencey than Kirkman can figure out at this point. But like, well, the quote I was reading was like, I'm not a scientist, but this is probably what happens. So he's bit over the shirt. So some of the people are saying that the infection maybe wasn't as severe or didn't get in there, but the doctor's on the way. And the people in the sewer from Alexandria are headed to the hilltop. And Gabriel and the doctor...
Run that by me again. The people in the sewer.
In the sewer.
From
Alexandria.
Sewer.
Yeah.
They're in the sewer. You're trying to tell me that Chandler Riggs sitting on the ground in the sewer. He's got an open bite wound.
It's a show. It's a show. Anything can happen. We're in theory territory right now. So they're headed to the hilltop. Gabriel and the doctor are headed to the hilltop. That they could meet up there and save Carl somehow. You know, I don't know. That's just a theory because all evidence is pointing to the contrary. That, you know, this is done. It's a done deal, and they're gonna do something else with Rick and Michonne. You know, even introducing, it's almost like, we got Gracie. We can only have 2 kids on here at once, so you got to go, Carl, with Judith.
I get.
Okay. So,
but I mean, like, the kingdom has children.
It was just a joke with Alexandria.
Okay. Alexandria doesn't exist anymore. It just got burned to the ground. To me, which seems like a waste of time. Plus, if the Saviors weren't inside the walls of Alexandria yet and all this stuff is blowing up, like, they got some good arms to be grenade launching that stuff in the smack dab middle of some houses. Like,
yeah, I think they might have had a couple launchers.
But still, like, you can see Carl in the dead of night and know exactly which car to shoot a grenade launcher into.
That might have just
to
been
blow
chance.
up. To me, like, all of the things that blew up are just like, it seems like they've been planting dynamite under here for years. Like, this does not seem like it could have happened at all.
You're right. And it was like it followed Carl, like everywhere he went. He's just like, it's like a soap opera. It's like, oh. He's like a Power Ranger.
Yeah.
He's like, oh.
And if they find a way for him to live, even though he should be dead, it will be a soap opera.
Yeah.
Just like finding ways to keep people alive who should have been dead years ago is a soap opera.
Yeah. And another thing that just didn't make sense was that, I mean, like you were talking about, we forgot to mention the time passage. It was like, 2-3 episodes ago, and the
because they're
King,
saying
the Widow,
that he
and
got
Rick,
bit when he was helping Sadiq.
Yeah, and that was days ago. And how long does it take for that to set in? Usually, it's only a couple hours. Like
Andrea's
they spend the
sister
afternoon.
Died, like not long at all.
Yeah, they'll spend the afternoon waiting on somebody to die, and they die. Maybe Carl's so healthy or whatever. He was showing zero sign when he's up on the platform talking at Negan, when he's running around until the bomb went off in front of him and the car exploded or whatever. And then he's, he can't hear, and we're getting the feedback and stuff. And there was no sign whatsoever. And then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, surprise.
Which I guess I could get it because when you think about in terms of adrenaline and blood pumping through your system, like he maybe hasn't been like running around acting all crazy since then, and like all of the adrenaline going through his system, getting hot. We don't know how long it's been since he's eaten. But it's a possibility.
Yeah. But also, I mean, the whole season they've been setting up what's coming next.
But what makes me mad is we have hardly seen Carl. If you're gonna kill Carl, I don't, at this point in time, I'm not even that sad Carl died. I didn't even cry. And I cry at commercials.
Yeah.
Like, I did not even cry because I'm not connected to Carl at all right now. Like, we've barely seen him.
Yeah, when we started the episode and I was like, the internet thinks Carl's going to die. Let's see. I don't know. And you were like, no, we haven't seen enough of Carl.
Yeah, we haven't.
And then it starts out and we're seeing nothing but Carl, and he writes a note, and it's just like, oh, geez.
Speaking of, about the note, side note, It was so interesting to me when Carl is writing this letter. He writes out, Dad, it is in terrible handwriting because this is a child who grew up never writing. In the apocalypse, when we first saw him, he was young, probably not able to write.
Like fourth, third grade or something.
I mean, he was supposed to be, 8 or 9 whenever it started?
Yeah.
Riley can't write very well. She's almost 10.
Yeah.
You know, like, it just, kids that young don't write well, and he hasn't written anything.
Yeah.
His handwriting, he is a child.
So maybe a couple love notes to Enid.
Don't take there's pudding and dead inside. Pudding inside.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he hasn't written, you know. Like, I'm surprised he knows how to spell, like, if he were to write a really long letter.
Yeah. That's true, man. That's deep. I didn't think about that. All right, we got to wrap it up. Thanks for watching. All right, thanks guys for watching. This has been The Broken Dead. We're here for Broken Pictures. This is Dylan.
I'm Lydia.
And check out our website. It's www.broken.pictures.com or no.com. Don't do.com. It's broken.pictures. No.com. So don't forget to like and subscribe and share the video and help us reach our 10,000 views so that YouTube will actually start paying attention to us and we'll be on the radar.
Let us know if you think that they're going to mystically bring Carl back or if we're going to see him turn into a walker, or if they're going to put him out of his misery first. What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know. Yeah, Rick won't be able to do it.
Will Michonne have to? That's going to be a huge toll on Michonne.
Yeah. All right, thanks guys. Peace.
See you next time.